We're about 8 octaves lower than the Isles. Our in folks are talking like Ralph and Tommy and them higher up than we done. But there's still 7 or 8 perceptible variations of the dialect in the Black Country, and about how we speak is in the news. And I bet you I've heard all sorts of views. And some reckon we accents due to the grime, which goes down with wazzings most of the time. And a lot call way up the way we're talking, but you'll keep your ears open when you're walking any place with Black Country folk in, and you'll hear these words, and I by joking, we don't say do not, we just say do. That's the truth, but perhaps you'll know. Going is going, and come is come. If you're going home, I'm going home. Where you been is where have you been. I trust you with it and see what I mean. Or it's easy, Aki, to get in a mess. Because it ain't simple, you must confess. Don't give in. That's doggy way. There's just a bit more I'd like to say about words that we use every day. Just use your heads, that's the key. Teachers at school, I'm teachers at school. Study a bit if you do as a rule. You can prove it yourself, you'll take a vote. Nobody speaks English the way it's wrote, so don't get flummoxed. That's simply confused. I've quoted but few of our words that are used. With accentuation, there are positively more. We are the wool, we what we sure or we call. You'll get out and about, you'll listen and see. I'd hazard a guess then that most would agree. Our kid, it would be a real crying shame if Black Country folks did all speak the same. There you go. Mind you, Tommy Edwards, you know, I'll tell you something about Tommy. He's the last bloke I'd like to be shipwrecked with. He ain't anything. When he was a kid, his mother used to try to speak posh, and of course there's nothing worse than folks that try to put it on. I mean, you've got them over this road, you've got them everywhere, you know, you meet them at weddings. I've only got our 2 champagnes. Oh, they sound all the H's in all the wrong places, you know. Oh, they. And his mother was one of that, Tommy's mother. He says, one more, says, come here, Tommy, says. He says, oh, I'll come in, you know. You know. He says, how is it, he says, as last night, he says, there was 2 pieces of apple pie on the cellar yet, he says. He says, there's only one this morning, he says, because I couldn't see the t'other bugger in the dark. And he's always tried to be a bit above himself. I say that for him. He only puts 3x2 slabs down for the council. He goes telling folks he's a pathologist. And when he drove the steamroller, he got it about. He got a company vehicle. That's what sort of bloke he is. Mind you, I was born at Prince's End, Tipton, by the Prince of Wales, if anybody knows it. And my sister, well, we got a little provision shop, and it was a wool shop, really, because folks say, will you save me this, will you save me the t'other, you know. It's right off. My sister next door, but one egg got official wool shop, and a proper job, you know. Old woman come in, she says, I want 4 ounces of red wool off the front of the window. My sister says, I want 4 ounces of red wool off the front of the window. She says, I want 4 ounces of red wool off the front of the window. My sister says, when you're getting yourself a cardigan or a scarf, Liza, I says, no. I says, I'm knitting a pullover for my dog because he keeps catching cold. I said, what sort of dog is it? I says, a bull terrier, I says. My sister says, well, a bull terrier's a bit broad across the shoulders. I says, you know that they a lot. I says, 4 ounces of wool. I says, why don't you bring the dog in the shop and we'll measure him? Make sure you've got enough wool for him. I says, oh, what I wanted to do with that because I wanted to be a surprise for him. Oh, it's right, though, you do get... Mind you, this end, I come over this road occasionally. I don't mind going abroad. And I met one woman one day. I was doing a bit of interviewing. I'd got a poodle here, French poodle. I was trying to take it to bark in French, you know. I'm really stuck up by that, you know. We get some on them. It's a bit tough. I don't say them tough in ours, but they got bluebird package around the nostrils, you know. You can pick them out. We get them all over the Black Country. But there's nothing worse, as I say, than when they try to put this thing on, you know. And of course you meet all sorts, like the vicar, you know, up Sedgley. Heineken Ale, I bought old motor there, you know. They couldn't get it going, they was cussing blue flashes. And the vicar come up, he says, I can hear you. He said, it's the Sabbath day. He said, and people long hair, they don't want to hear this. He said, blaspheming, he said, and saying this thing. He said, what's wrong? Heineken says, the bloody car won't go. And the vicar said, well, he said, swearing won't make it go. He said, I strongly advise you and your friend here to kneel by the car, put your hands together, say a little prayer, and see what that does. So Heineken and I knelt by the car, and I said a little prayer. He said, now get into the car and switch the ignition key on. And straight away the engine started. The vicar says, well, bloody hell. The lady I'm going to bring on now, make a slab bluff. Dolly Allen.
Hello, my lovers. One of the days last week, my man come back from, well, he did go to work, because he don't work. He what you call a shift worker. You mention work and he'll shift. He come in. I said, then you know who's been in the street this morning? He says, oh, Dracula. I says, no, television detective van. Oh, well, what's that got to do with me? I said, got a lot to do with you. I said, we ain't got near a license. He said, well, when we went to license for, it runs all right to Route 1. I says, not so fast as the Black Maria will run when it takes you out to jail. I said, I went £4 off you towards the television licence. And he looked at me, they spake. I says, £4 towards the licence. He said, no, he says, I must have a code in my ears. He says, I can't hear a thing out of this ear. So I went round the other side. I says, £5. Towards the licence. He says, you'll come back round this side. He says, what's the other bad news you've got? Has your dinner spoiled? He says, how's that? Has the fish shaps burned down? He says, you know that builder up the road as I've been doing some odd jobs for? I says, oh. He said, well, he asked me to build a wall 6 foot high to stun thy winds. So I built him one 6 foot high. So I finished it yesterday, and I got on the phone and told him to come round and have a look at it. So he come today. He says he looked at the wall, and then he looked at me, and the way he looked, he says, I thought I'd done a good job. So after a bit, he says, well, I've seen some walls built in me time, but I've never seen one like this. 6 foot high and 6 foot wide. He says, what was you thinking about when you made it 6 foot wide? I said, well, you wanted a wall built 6 foot high to stand our winds. Well, if the wind blows this and over, it'll still be a standing up. Fanny looked in and says, I should love all the fan of that Stig Joe taffy. I said, hey, this is a posh shop. I said, when you go in these places, you have to mind how you are talking. I says, I know how to talk when I go in these places. So I went in, off the pound, off Stig Joe toffee, please. And would you mind smoshing it up? Well, we come out here, we had a good walk round Brum. So when it was time to come back, Fanny says, let's go somewhere for a meal, shall we? So I took her to a posh cave. We had all the knives and forks and spoons and laid out. I don't know which one you're going to pick up. Fanny said, what are all these for? I said, and the two will stay to dinner. I said, again up on mine, it's stone cold. I said, you want the serviettes? I said, well, if you can eat one, I can't.
We're trying to time things out nicely, you know. The changing scene of the Black Country, ladies and gentlemen, brings me very nicely on to one that I wrote many years ago about a tatter at Tipton, and his name was Tuzzy Duffield. And I went into a pub, strangely enough, called the Three Horseshoes, and he was crying his eyes up. I said, what's up with you, Tuzzy? He said, I've lost my horse. And when he told me he lost him, he hadn't really lost him, he hadn't mislaid him, he hadn't run off, he died. And this bloke was really completely full. He was crying his eyes up. And I took him back home, and I wrote this one. The horses are going off the street. You don't hear much the clop of the feet. It's enough to break an old un's heart to see 'em go on the cart. They've got to go, it's there or all, to make it clear for the motor car. These petrol stations, all round the place, where the horses stood, with a tin on the face. How about the blacksmith shops, for the horses' shoes? We all could hear the latest news. Why is they on with the shoe on horses' hoof? It smelt the place, floor to roof. You all can remember 'em stamping and tossing the head, as good as telling you they'd got to be fed. Black horses, brown horses, white uns and greys. There was plenty about in the old-fashioned days. Bread horses, milk horses, anything at all. They were there at beck and call. And how about the cobble roads to help them to pull? Great heavy carts with stuff so full. There was funeral horses with black shining coats and hooves shining like polished boots. Governor's cart horses stood outside of the inns. There was pit horses and rail horses. And horses to empty the bins, and how about them horses all round the cuts with the boats to pull, to strain the goods all them worked all hours with body and soul, thatching iron and wood, anything, coal. It's only now and again as we get a treat here, the clop of us, out on the street. I could keep going on, and I don't know why. I think if I did, I just had to cry. It was a good while ago. The time don't matter. I talked about horses, and it was we an old tatter, and it was him who told me it'd break his heart to watch his horse go, and then his cart. Thanks for listening. As I say, second